What's going on, everyone? Welcome to CC Media, where it is all about Nintendo. And today, this is ZakPak and I's part 2 discussion about Paper Mario: The Origami King. So, if you missed part 1, it is on his channel. In this video, Zak and I are going to talk specifically now about the treehouse footage that we got and kind of all the new information we've got based on that. So, I feel generally positive about the game. I'm pretty excited about it. Zak, how about you? What are your kind of overall thoughts based on what we've heard about it over the past couple days?
Yeah, I'm pretty excited about this because I think Paper Mario: The Origami King is actually, from what I've seen on the internet, it's been a really divisive game. Hopefully neither of us get dislikes spam because our opinions don't line up with others, but who cares?
Yeah, I think, it seems like a lot of the stuff that's come out about the game in the past couple days has sort of there's nothing that people are really going crazy about, but there's also nothing that people are really hating on either.
I'm pretty mixed. There's a lot of things that I do like, but there's also just as many things I don't like. And it's one of those things where it's so hard when, obviously, I'm going to sound like a boomer here, but, I grew up with the particularly Thousand Year Door and also kind of Super Paper Mario, but more so Thousand Year Door, so I'm really used to that formula. So it's when they really started to really tweak it and change it, it's alright, this really isn't for me anymore. So it's every time they announce a new Paper Mario game, part of me is just I just want it to be like before, but I know it won't. So there is that part of me that's I want it to be like before, but then there's that part of me that accepts that it won't be. So it's I'm trying to look at it from a more broad point of view of just someone who's casually going to play it like a fan, or not even a fan, just a casual player.
Yeah.
But I know that the fan base is so divided on it because you have the YouTube video pulled up, right? Do you see that like to dislike ratio?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I've got the treehouse pulled up right here, and it's 7,000 to 3,000 dislikes.
Yeah, it's very divisive, and I don't want to speak too much. I'm pretty sure you can actually also probably comment on this, but I think it's one of those things where Nintendo does a game a certain way, then changes it, and the new fans like the new way, and the old fans like the old way.
Yeah, that does happen a lot.
With Luigi's Mansion, with Mario Party, with everything Nintendo does.
Yeah, for sure.
The game is gonna be great, I assume. I don't see why it wouldn't be great. It's a Nintendo game, but will it be my kind of game? And I know that sounds kind of self-centered in a way, but at the end of the day, I'm a paying customer, so of course I want to like a game.
It's interesting because I feel the same way. I much prefer the older Paper Mario titles to the newer ones, and I was actually a big fan of Super Paper Mario, but I think it's because that's actually the title that I grew up playing. But generally, I do think the original and Thousand Year Door are, the pinnacle of the series. And I'm like you, there's a part of me that wishes this game was like that. But it's kind of interesting because I felt that way, especially when the very first trailer for the game came out. I was like, okay, I'm very skeptical about this because I'm not sure if it's going to be more like Thousand Year Door or more like Sticker Star and Color Splash, or Color Splash, because I already think Color Splash is much different than Sticker Star in a lot of ways, and better. But now that we've gotten a lot more information about the game, I feel a bit more kind of solidified with my stance on the game, which is like you were saying, just kind of, I'm treating it as more just like a casual player. I've accepted the fact that it's, in a lot of ways, in some ways it is, but in a lot of ways it's not gonna be like Thousand Year Door, and I'm okay with that. It still looks great for what it is. So, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know about you, because did you watch the Treehouse in its entirety?
I did, yeah.
I honestly had a hard time watching at some point, not because of the awkwardness of the commentators, but I thought, I don't know, it seemed like the game was, I don't know, I mean, we only saw 35 minutes of footage, so what do I know? But it seemed like the opening was pretty slow. I don't know if I'm alone there, but particularly with that first part of the world where Mario awakens and he's going to explore, I don't know, there's part of that where I was sitting there, I was kind of bored almost,
Yeah, it's interesting. It's the game doesn't start off on this big crazy note. Like, we talked in the first part of this discussion, in the previous video, about, you know, how it opens with that kind of similar thing where it's like Princess Peach has invited you to a festival, which, like, we're both okay with. It's just kind of funny that happens so often in Mario games now. But, like, despite that, it by no means opens on this grand kind of note. Like, it's, you know, Mario and Luigi just kind of show up and Toad Town is very quiet, and yeah, it's kind of interesting.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, I mean, I don't have much more to say about it, really. I mean, it's just, I don't know.
Yeah, so I mean, I guess, like, do you want to jump into maybe some specific stuff from the treehouse footage that we got that really kind of jumped out to you?
Yeah, sure. I mean, we talked about this a bit in part 1, but to me, the thing that I really liked the most was, the segment with Monty Mole. Like, that was just so cute. I loved it. Like, come on, this is a low bargain. 1,000 coins, that's it. And I was just sitting there, like, I was chuckling. I was like, okay, this is cute. I like this. And that's where I find Paper Mario's humor to be the strongest. When it's instances like that, where it's like, you know, this is gonna sound weird, but it's almost a human, like, interaction with that Monty Mole. Like, you know, like you're dealing with like an auctioneer, or maybe even like someone like at a pawn shop. You're trying to haggle.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, it's a very human kind of thing,
it's a
and
very
almost realistic.
Real situation. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that kind of lends to the cartoony nature of Paper Mario, and adds to the humor.
Yeah, I think that's something that Paper Mario has always kind of thrived at. It's, of course, these are, you know, this is a fictional world and it's very cartoony, but the situations often kind of poke fun at real life events and situations, and you can sort of almost, I don't want to say like relate to certain things, but just like seeing this like silent auction or this kind of like bid happening here with the Monty Mole, like it's just kind of a funny nod to a thing that totally happens in real life, and it's funny kind of seeing it happen with all of these fictional Mario characters. Like, I'm seeing all the Koopa Troopers right now, they're all yelling like, it's half price, what a deal, and stuff like that, and it's so funny to kind of see those situations.
Yeah, especially because, like, you can, like, make him go even lower and lower, and then you really see the Koopa Troopers going like, oh my god, like, you know.
Yeah.
It's just so cool. And this is where, to me, something like making the characters look more uniquely designed would have been really, really cool. Like, make the Monty Mole look sketchy. Like, give him, like, I don't know, like, maybe tattered clothing, or, like, you know, like a weird hat. Something to make him look, or maybe he's, like, sunglasses. Something to make him look shady.
Yeah, like, if they'd have just done, I think that could have added so much. And that's a great little moment. But I agree, that could have, you know, just little stuff like that adds a lot.
He obviously, I mean, you look at him, he obviously isn't, like, a legit seller. Obviously, he picked up this stone that was taken out by, I think it was an Origami Shy guy. He set up a little table, and now he's just, like, trying to sell it, you know? He wants to make a quick buck. So having him look shady rather than a cute little puffy-cheeked Monty Mole.
Yeah, that's true. Although, there actually is something kind of, like, cute and silly about how just, like, he's just a plain, simple Monty Mole just hosting this. Like, that's also kind of funny. It's in its own way. Obviously, I definitely prefer kind of that, you know, unique design, but yeah.
I actually do like the fact that it is a Monty Mole and not something more basic, because, like, Monty Moles are a very basic enemy. It's like, you know, it's not a Goomba trying to sell it. It's a Monty Mole. It's, you know.
For sure.
And plus, he's really cute. I mean, look at him. He's adorable.
Exactly. Maybe the next thing we can talk about, which matters a lot to both of us, is kind of the visual style of these worlds and just kind of the uniqueness of them, which one of the things I've noticed that is actually different about this game stylistically compared to Sticker Star and Color Splash is it's leaning a lot more into kind of the Paper Mario idea, like the paper aspect, as opposed to just kind of crafting in general.
Yeah.
Which is interesting, and I think that goes in line with this game being built a lot around origami. In Color Splash and Sticker Star, a lot of the worlds are built with cardboard and different kind of materials, whereas here, pretty much everything is paper, or at least like cardstock paper, like, you know, the layers of grass and like the rocks on the side of the cliffs and everything, and I like that. I think it looks really nice.
Yeah, I think the worlds are, I mean, I like everything that we've seen visually from this game. In fact, I think one of the most impressive shots is at the beginning, Peach's Castle. I think Peach's Castle looks absolutely brilliant.
Totally.
It's the light, like when Mario and Luigi walk in, the lighting and the mood is perfectly set. Then when Peach opens the door and walks out, like, I don't know, it's just so perfect. So, it kind of reminds you of Mario 64, because it's almost set up in the same exact way. So it's like, you know, again, like I think I mentioned in part 1, I think it was part 1, the tree thing really makes you feel like this world is truly Mario's world, and rather than making Peach's Castle look weird and different.
Yeah, I mean, the layout of Peach's Castle, like the interior, like kind of the main room here, is very similar, it seems like, to the one from Paper Mario 64. So it's cool that they, you know, they didn't try to change it up a ton. Like, don't change what already works. And the same can't be said about a lot of things in this game, but in terms of the world design, I think they really nailed it. The game looks great. This isn't anything against the exterior locations in the game, like the outdoor locations, but I actually think the interior locations are even more notable from a design perspective. I think just they look really nice. They pack so much into the indoor spaces. Like, it looks like they're at the bottom of the tower, or at least they're inside the tower leading up to the boss fight with the pencils, or whatever you want to call them. And just the lighting of the windows shining in and everything, it just looks so nice. So
yeah, well, that's the thing. I think it also has a lot to do with the lighting as well, because I do think that, like, a lot of the exterior areas are pretty dang bright. So the nice, not dark obviously, but the darker interiors with the light shining in from the windows, it looks nice.
Something else about these worlds that is so awesome is that they're so open. And I do think sometimes that does hinder the art style a bit. Like, just occasionally Mario's running around through these big open grassy environments, and it's just kind of one shade of green along the ground for a very long time. And I think that's, you know, in a way it sort of looks plain, but at the same time it leans into the idea that these are just sheets of paper that he's walking around on, and so I think it sort of works. But I love the openness of these environments, and I think that's really cool. And there is still, you know, a general linear progression, but I love how much room there is to explore, you know, along the journey. I think that's really great.
Especially since they got rid of the world map kind of thing. Now you can go,
yeah, that's huge.
Yeah, you can freely actually explore the world, and I mean, from what we know, like, you know, I don't know, it just seems cool. And if you look actually in the tower, something that actually is pretty cool. If you look on the floor, you see the Mario dying, you know, the 8-bit Mario dying. It looks like he was colored in by the colored pencils. It's actually kind of creepy to think about, where the colored pencils are literally drawing Mario dying.
Yeah, gee, wow. I just noticed, I looked at this still and I didn't even realize.
Speaking of, I guess, should we talk about the boss fight at all?
I guess so, yeah. Do you want to take the lead on that?
Yeah. So we mentioned a little bit in the first part that the boss fight itself looks pretty dang cool. Like, you know, we like the formula of Mario setting the path for himself, and, you know, it looks pretty cool. I mean, do you have anything else to add really to, like, about the boss fights? Like, I mean...
No, yeah, I mean, I'm not a huge fan of the character from a design perspective, but I love how the boss battle itself looks. There's a lot, you know, there's a lot to it, and I really like that it uses that same kind of ring structure as the normal battles do that you just find kind of out in the overworld. I think it's really cool that they're leaning into that new kind of ring-based system, so...
Yeah, I think it looks, I mean, again, like, I think having it be in the ring is really, really cool, but yeah, there's just something about the colored pencils, the tape,
yeah,
band like that. I had some, like, I remember in a video I did, someone commented, "Oh, but they gave the colored pencils personality." And I'm like, okay, it's still colored pencils.
Yeah, I saw someone make a big deal out of how, like, the dialogue is all, you know, with different, each letter is a different color, like it's being written out with colored pencils, and it's like, yeah, that is cool. That's a nice little touch, but anyone could think of that, right? When it comes to actual creative design choices that you would expect from, you know, professional design, like, everyone could think of that. Oh, how about the letters are just spelled in colors?
Yeah, genius, give that guy a raise. Like,
yeah, exactly.
That's why I'm scared to see, I mean, because aren't there 5 bosses?
I have
for each color
no
of the ribbon?
Yeah, I guess there must be.
So, we know of the colored pencils, the tape, and the rubber band, so I'm presuming it's like scissors and paperclip, something like that, or a stapler. I mean, I know there's like a mini boss or something that's like a dragon that seems cool.
Yeah, I saw something like that.
But, like, couldn't they just, like, swapped it, made the dragon the main boss, and then the stationary sets optional little side bosses?
Right, yeah. What's the, like, the whole organization that they're, like, what's it called? It's like the Legion of Stationary?
The League of Stationary, or...
The League, yeah, something like that. It's just kind of, it's it's such a bummer because it seems like the rest of this game does have a lot of, really kind of creative touches, but then the bosses are just, yeah.
There's 2 points I want to make here. First of all, funny enough, you know what this reminds me of? It reminds me of Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon, where like possessors would possess everyday objects, and it just reminded me of that. And
yeah, it's true.
But also, it kind of counteracts the whole point of the Origami King. The whole fun thing about origami is you don't need any other things to make origami. You literally just need paper.
Oh, that's true.
Why would you bring in something like tape where it kind of cheats origami?
Is it? Yeah, tape is pretty much like, using tape with origami is pretty much like cheat codes.
Exactly. So, I don't know, something I was thinking of is I think it would have been cooler if each one of these main boss battles was a main Mario character that King Ollie turned into origami, and you have to fight them to save them. So let's say
that would be
Yoshi
cool.
or Bowser or Luigi or Peach, and Peach would be the final one.
Yeah, Peach is the last
Peach,
one.
quote unquote, she turns back to her regular self. I don't know. I thought it would have been more.
Yeah, that'd be really cool.
More emotional boss battle overall.
Yeah, that definitely seems like something that had been done in like Thousand Year Door. It seems like something like that Nintendo would hesitate with a little more nowadays, just because like the idea of fighting, these characters who should be, your allies. I just don't know if I'd trust Nintendo to like go all in with that, but I would love to see like, yeah, the emotions of that and stuff. Like, that'd be so cool if they did do it.
Imagine, like, Mario walking up and seeing Luigi in all papercraft, like his own brother, and now he has to go and fight him to save him. Like, I don't know, it's just such a really, really cool concept.
Yeah, that's so cool. What are some other, like, kind of big things we haven't touched on? I mean, we talked about this a bit in the, in part 1, but the battle system in particular and the lack of XP, just kind of the overall incentive to do battles. I really hope that the battles don't become tedious and I just try to avoid them through the majority of the game. But part of me knows that that's gonna end up happening, so...
Like, that's the thing. I mean, I think you're kind of in the same boat as me, to where I don't really care for RPGs much at all. Paper Mario didn't get me because of its RPG mechanics, but its RPG mechanics grew on me because of the fact that I just liked the game. So now, you strip away the EXP portion of it, and like for me, I usually am not a big fan of RPG battles. I'm really not.
Neither.
So now, you're not even going to give me, like, a real reward for it. You're just going to give me coins that I can find in the world. So you're not going to give me real incentive to do these battles, even though it seems like I have to do these battles a lot. So it's like, I don't know.
When I started playing the Paper Mario games, actually doing the battles was almost like a burden to me. Like, that's how much I just wasn't a big fan of the battles in general, but it grew on me. And so it's not much of a problem here that there isn't much to the battle system for me, besides the new ring mechanic, which is great. But in terms of like incentive to do those battles, in terms of in-game incentive, like, it's fine. I'm just more fearful that, it's gonna become hard to avoid the battles, and you're gonna have to do them, and it's gonna be really frustrating without that, without any rewards or point to doing them.
There was there's another point that actually kind of confuses me. Do you think that they started to turn Mario into origami at one point in the story that we haven't seen? Ooh. Because how does the 1,000-fold arms work with Mario? Because, like, now he has these origami arms that he just apparently summons out of nowhere. Or did Olivia give him that power? Or
that's
like,
weird, yeah.
Because, like,
he's like kind of using the power of the enemy to his advantage there.
I don't know. I think the 1,000-fold arms move looks stupid, in my opinion. Like,
yeah, I'm not a fan. There is nothing about that looks interesting.
You get to unfold the environment.
It's like, who cares?
It apparently uses motion controls.
Yeah, there is a choice to take that off, though.
Oh, there is? Okay, thank God for that.
Mm-hmm.
But, I don't know, it just seems super, I mean, not gimmicky, but tacked on.
Yeah, it definitely seems like, okay, we need, we've got the whole overall gimmick of origami. That's great, but we need some kind of gameplay mechanic to use throughout the world itself. What could we do? How about this? It doesn't seem like there was much thought put into it. Like, I mean, it never really interacts with the world in a way that really changes the environments much. You gotta put a platform down, use the 1,000-fold arms or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
Good thing is it's not like much of an issue because it doesn't really seem that heavily involved anyways, So it's not like it's taking away from the game. It's just kind of like, why is it there to begin with?
Yeah, it's kind of like one of those things where it seems like it'd be cumbersome to have to, when it pops up, like, oh, here we go. All right.
Exactly.
One thing I also wonder about is the confetti. So basically, the confetti is used to cover up holes in the environment, whether it be on the ground or the wall, whatever. How did those holes, I mean, again, this could be stuff that could be explained, but I do wonder, like, how holes got there, because it very much reminds me of Color Splash, where you have to use the paint hammer or whatever to fill in those white spots, or, you know, whatever that was about. I completely forgot that game, to be honest, but, well, like, overall, like, the game, it's interesting. Obviously, you're the same way. You're obviously going to play it, and I literally have a headache from, like, trying to form an actual structured opinion about this game.
Yeah, it's so strange. Like, we've both, I think, I mean, us two plus probably thousands of people have gone through such, like, a roller coaster in preparation, you know, in the lead up to this game. Like, you know, a lot of people at first, when it was first shown off, were, you know, either really excited and hopeful or, like, still super skeptical. And then, like, ever since then, with the more information we've been getting, it's just been, like, this up and down of, like, great, maybe it'll have this. Oh, no, it doesn't, but it sort of does. Like, with partners and everything.
Yeah.
And, like, I think we've both come to this kind of conclusion of, like, we are in acceptance of the fact that we are never really gonna have an opinion, at least, like, until we've played it. We're both, I think, like, open-minded enough to, you know, enjoy the game for what it is, despite, you know, the issues that we both have, or the concerns. I'm surprised by how indifferent I am. Like, I should be more excited because we're getting a Paper Mario game in, like, just a couple days, yet for some reason it's just kind of, yeah, it's happening and I'm looking forward to it, but...
Yeah, like, I personally never felt this indecisive, this confused about a game and how I feel about it up to launch. So that's coming from someone who's covered Mario Party and Luigi's Mansion a lot. Like, I've never felt more confused with this game. But of course, it would be unfair for me to, like, be this confused and like say all this stuff and actually not play it, because, like, part of me didn't want to get it because I was like, I probably won't like it anyways. But I'm like, I mean, I probably should play it just to at least form a proper opinion. But even then, I don't know if that's gonna happen.
We didn't touch on partners much, or what do they call them in this game? Are they partners? Allies?
I think allies. I think that's what they're called. I think.
Okay. We talked about it some in the previous video, so there really isn't much to say. You know, it's great that they're there. It's not great that they're not everything that they could be.
Yeah, like, it's so hard to... Okay, I feel like so many people are gonna hate this comparison.
Oh, no.
oh, yeah. But I think that this game is gonna be the Super Mario Party of the Paper Mario series. The quote-unquote return to greatness, but it's half-baked in a lot of areas. I went there. Like, I'm gonna like it in some aspects, but it's not gonna be the same.
You know what? I hate to say it, but I think you are 100% correct. The thing that I like, my big issue with Super Mario Party, and this is coming from a purely, like, stubborn perspective, is that I hate the fact that that game is a quote-unquote step in the right direction for the series when it had all the reason to be the future rather than just be a stepping stone to reach the future, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's gonna be the case with this game as well. Like, you're gonna hear a lot of quotes saying Paper Mario, the Origami King, is a step in the right direction for the series. And it's like, when games don't come out that often, why not go the extra mile and just make it be what it should be? And that's coming from such a stubborn, you know, personal perspective. But, like, it's an opinion that has kind of plagued a lot of my favorite games, like Mario Tennis Aces. That story mode was a step in the right direction rather than just being a solid story mode. And I feel like that's gonna happen with this game, and it's a bummer, but I also think it's gonna be a good game, so it's fine.
Yeah.
But
well, that's the thing. It's I mean, at least in my eyes, it's not being stubborn. It's being a fan of Nintendo, where you're willing to shell out money for their products. You know, like, it's not like, I've always had people say, oh, you should be grateful. I'm like, why should I be grateful? They're not giving this to me. I'm paying for something. I gotta be grateful for something I have to buy? I don't know. Like, every Nintendo fan is different. And every Nintendo fan has different wants and different expectations. If this doesn't look good to us, we should be able to say, it doesn't look good to us. People should be able to formulate their own opinions about games like this, you know, and say, you know, it looks good, but not the way I want it, without people going, oh, you're just a nostalgic butthead. Okay, tangent over. I promise.
Well, that's also the good thing about this situation too. We're not saying, the game looks awful and having some very controversial opinion about it. We're both pretty much just like, yeah, we'll play it.
Exists.
Yeah. You can't force someone to be excited about something. I wish I could force myself to be excited about this because I want to be excited about something. We sort of went off on a bit of a tangent for the last couple minutes, but I feel like all the points we made were pretty relevant and important. So, yeah.
I mean, even if I don't love this game, but there are people who do love it, I'm happy. Because if a Nintendo game is received well by a large amount of people, I'm happy. That's the whole point of Nintendo, for people to have fun. And I really hope that this game does that.
Very well said. I agree.
Thank you.
All right. Well, I guess that pretty much wraps up the... Wait, was this was part 2, right?
Yes, this was part 2.
Okay.
We just got done recording part 1.
We're recording these at the same time, so it's like I don't remember. So that wraps up part 2 of our discussion about Paper Mario: The Origami King. In case you did not, be sure to check out part 1 in the description below over on ZakPak's channel, and just check out ZakPak's channel in general because he's got a real great channel. Speaking of Zak, why don't you take a moment to plug your content?
Well, I guess I don't really have much to plug besides, check out my channel. I mean, now that SpongeBob is out, I'm actually branching out in content a little bit more, so I'm covering more Nintendo topics. Now, obviously, I've been covering this game a lot, so hopefully you guys can check out and subscribe and stick around for the long haul.
Well, then that pretty much wraps up our discussion, so thank you guys so much for tuning into this video, and stay tuned to CC Media for all sorts of unique and fun Nintendo-related content, as well as, I am sure, some coverage on Paper Mario: The Origami King once the game comes out. So thanks again, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.
Later, guys.